to issue or edition number 3 of Tape to Tape. I'm your host, TheTonyM, coming at you from overcast San Diego, California, where it's still 63, not sunny, overcast, joined by my co-host, Tyler Lessard, better known as TLess, or better yet, I need some TP, TLess, recovering from some sickness. How are you from the Northeast Maine?
It is actually very warm today, and yesterday was, which is unlikely, like 50 today actually. But yeah, I had a stomach bug. Glad that's over with though.
Good. You are looking a little bit pale, but I see you're wearing the Patriots black and white.
Navy blue. Close enough. You tried. That's all that matters, Tony.
Patriots, what are they? 16-point favorites. Let's call this now. We're not an NFL show. We're an NHL daily fantasy hockey show, but Patriots, do they cover the spread this weekend?
I'm going to say no, because whenever I take the Patriots on the spread, they screw me over. So I hope that they do it. So I'm going to say no.
Much like a good woman screwing over Tyler Lessard. Tyler, we have 9 games today in just a half an hour. Try to cover everything. Then we'll get to you, our top shelf lock play of the day, and our Civ City play. That's the goalie that we think we're just going to absolutely pick on and torch. 9 games of action. Let's dig right into it. Vancouver Canucks head to Philadelphia, next door to the Spectrum, and that new place, whatever it's called, face a Flyers team. They're favorited, minus 180 money line favorites. They have 2.88 implied total goals. Steven Mason, Civ City, maybe. Where's the scoring coming from in this one? Is it all about the Flyers tonight? And can we even trust him, though?
Oh, my word. Steve Mason. I'm going to start right off with him. No, I can't trust him, especially with the Vancouver team that's really turned it on the past couple of games, and they've started scoring, which they probably won't keep it up, but I'm not going to place my bet on that tonight, especially with a Flyers team that can't stop the puck from going in whatsoever. So no Mason for me tonight. While I do see him as, a cash play, and he probably will be relatively high owned with people taking the risk, I'm going to stay away from him. But as far as the offensive production is going to be concerned, I was looking at it, and the first line looked okay. Giroux really is the only one that's going to anchor that line down, and I don't see maybe a point comes out of that. But I was really looking at the third line with Braden Shen.
Mm-hmm.
Shen really interests me for the simple fact that I was going through the data, and Vancouver gives up about 41% of all their goals when they're when on the road to depth lines. So he's been shooting the puck like a madman, and Vancouver's been giving up, like I said, that to the third and fourth line, which also just in turn makes me want to think Braden Shen all day long. So I paired that with him with Wayne Simmons on that third line. So that's who I really like, is that third line tonight from Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think I'm with you right there. Braden Shen, one of my top value plays at the wing position over on FanDuel. I mean, he's 6'3", not quite a value, but shooting the puck a ton. He's in production, and when you're playing the Canucks, you want to attack that penalty kill. Kind of moving away from this one though, but on the Vancouver side of things, they were our play last week, really the last week and a half, but they've now dropped 2 in a row to Nashville and Calgary. Not really interested in Vancouver tonight, and I'm okay completely fading Ryan Miller. Steve Mason's a guy, especially on FanDuel, one of the lower price goalies on play tonight. Tyler, can you trust Mason in cash, or is he just GPP only? For me, I'm going to say it. I'm going to be able to go back to the well if it means that I can pay up for the skaters I want to pay up. But Steve Mason, yay or nay?
I got to say nay. I mean, for me personally, it's nay. If someone else plays him, I understand why. I totally get it. But I'm looking at the log, and I mean, geez, 3 goals allowed, 4 goals, 2 goals, 3 goals. His FanDuel points, 6 points, 10 points, 2 points, 5 points, 4 points, -4, -3. I don't want any part of that, especially with the Vancouver team that can surprise you and score a couple goals and sneak them past you.
There you go. First game. Got to fly through these. 8 more to go. Second one has Buffalo Sabres traveling to South Florida to face a Tampa Lightning team that's lost 4 in a row. Buffalo has won 2 in a row and 3 of their last 4. Tampa Bay, though, heavy favorites, -165 money line, and they have one of the highest implied goal totals on this evening. Where are you looking at? Bishop's back in net for the first time since about December 20th. But the thing in this one is that Tampa Bay's reshuffled their lines, triplets not together. Vladislav Namestnikov is centering that top line with Palat and Kuch. Where are you looking at here, Tyler?
I'll start with Tampa Bay for the simple fact, like you said, they are the highest favorite of the night, as far as goal productions wise. But whenever I think about this Buffalo team, I always think about, Ryan O'Reilly and what line that he's going to go out there and shut down. And he's one of the best at it. I think he goes obviously out and he tries to get that top line of Kuch and Palat and Namestnikov. And I was really looking at the third line as far as for actually both of these teams. I was looking at the depth lines. I know, Kuch is going to be probably high owned in cash tonight, but Sam Reinhart for Buffalo has been on fire with 6 points and 15 shots in like 19 minutes. It's what he's been averaging over his last 5 games. And Tampa Bay has been known to struggle this year so far from what we've looked at, with depth lines at home giving up 35.59%. Pair that with Reinhart on that third line and top power play unit. I really like Reinhart tonight from Buffalo. And then when I'm looking at like back to Tampa Bay, their scoring can come from anywhere. But I would say Kuch is probably the he's the cash play. But as far as me personally, I really do like the third line as well and the power play unit from Tampa Bay, and Tyler Johnson and Alex Killorn on that third line do look good with me probably leaning towards Tyler Johnson as far as cheap upside, and we'll probably get a point tonight.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. You're looking at Kuch if you're looking at cash play. Another cash game play from this one, look over to Victor Hedman, 7.2 on FanDuel. Hedman now has 6 points in his last 5 games. Blocking shots, shooting the puck about 1.75 times over that span. Victor Hedman, for me, is probably the top overall defenseman. But as you'll find out as we go through the slate in the last 7 games, I'm more inclined to pay all the way up for center because sort of the mid-tier level below Bergeron all the way down is just garbage. And then I'm going to save at my wing positions and then save at my D positions. But Victor Hedman, if you're playing Tampa Bay and GPPs, make sure you grab Victor Hedman. Third game, Tyler. Pittsburgh Penguins head to Ottawa to face the Senators team. Mike Condon in net. Looks like Matt Murray is going to be in net for the Pens. They have a 2.96 implied goal total. They lost 1 in a row. Prior to that, they won 5 in a row. I'm not really on Pittsburgh in this one, not on Sidney Crosby, at least that top line. If I want a piece, I'm looking at Malkin, but how are you looking at this game?
It's hard because whenever you have Pittsburgh on the slate and you have Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby, you're like, wow, I can't possibly fade them. But tonight, Michael Keller really, I had that thought, like I need to go back to the well. I need to get Crosby or Malkin, but Keller's like, personally, I'm fading them tonight. So I looked in a little bit more, and if you are going to play Pittsburgh, I think that's okay. But Ottawa's only let up like 2 or 3 goals at home per game the past, 5 or 6 home games. And I think it's okay to fade Pittsburgh, but if you're gonna go to them, I'd look at the top line. Ottawa's giving up 34.62% of their goals to the top lines when Ottawa's at home. And I look at Sheary, Rust, or Crosby as far as that. I really like for a GPP because Pittsburgh can't stop anyone from scoring. We saw that last night on the power play unit. It was just like they're at practice. They're doing 5-on-4 drills and even sometimes 5-on-3. And Ovechkin was just sitting in his office rifling the puck. And for Ottawa, I really like the third line with Turris, Bobby Ryan, and Ryan Dzingel as a stack against Pittsburgh tonight.
Yeah, and like you say, Pittsburgh not killing off penalties well. They're allowing a good number of shots against too. 32.6, which is actually the 4th most shots against per game are the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Tyler, like you said, one of the worst penalty kills in the league. 7th worst, in fact, at just a 79% kill rate. Are you interested in any of the goalies into this one?
No, I am not. Both teams actually can score at a pretty explosive rate if they're clicking on any given night. So I'm gonna stay away from both of these tonight, as I feel it's gonna be a little bit closer of a game than we might anticipate.
And Murray likely to be in net, but has not been confirmed yet. Moving through these quickly, 3 games down. 4th game of the night features our Boston Bruins headed to Tennessee to face a Nashville Predators team in a game that's essentially a pick'em. Now, this game has a low over-under, just 5, as most Bruins games tend to have. But you have Patrice Bergeron and his line mates that are extremely cheap. Nashville on home ice, Tyler, I'm sure you'll get there to what they're allowing as far as what the line data says. But Bergeron's a guy that I really like as a one-off in cash. Tyler, how do you see this game?
Well, you hit it right on the head. Bergeron is where I'm going to look at right off the bat because of his price on FanDuel and on a night, and even on DraftKings, but even on a night where you can pay down at winger and you want to pay up at center. He's been phenomenal. 38 shots, 7 points over his last 7 games. He gets the most time out of mostly all the team, out of all those line mates between Marchand and Pastrnak. But I'm really looking at him for cash, and you can actually play that any one of those guys on the top line, Marchand and Pastrnak, like I said, because they're going to get that exposure to him against a Nashville team that's giving up 33.3% of their goals at home. And as far as a net, I don't want any part of this game as well for the simple fact that it is away for Boston, and I don't trust Nashville really at home as of late. But Bergeron would be my cash play out of this game.
Yeah, and I haven't seen these goalies confirm yet. It is only 5:14 on the East Coast and 2:14 out here. Tuukka Rask and Pekka Rinne, as you write on the site, both are likely. Are you interested in any Nashville skaters at all in this game? I mean, you maybe could go to a Victor Arvidsson as a one-off, or a naked Arvidsson, as I like to say. Arvidsson in the top 7 in iCourse per 60 basically just means that he shoots the puck a lot when he is on the ice, and shots obviously allow you to rack up fantasy points. But on the Nashville side, are you interested in any of the skaters?
It's hard because when you do this, especially for us, we look at a lot of data, and Boston doesn't really have any trends when they're away. The scoring's pretty much spread out against them. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if you want to go with like hot hands or guys that have really been shooting the puck, I would say Arvidsson or even Mike Fisher. But on a night, like I said, with center being my top priority, Fisher has no place for me tonight. Sure, you could use him as a GPP. You can even use Arvidsson or even Ekholm as a D-man. But Boston isn't a team that normally gives up too many goals, and I don't see that happening tonight.
And Tuukka Rask or Pekka Rinne, are you on either of these guys? Probably for me, don't trust them in cash because it's a pick'em game. But GPPs, who are you more likely to use?
I would more likely use Rask for the simple fact that it is kind of a homer pick. But I look at Nashville, like I said, and I can't really trust them at home right now. And I saw their one win over the Blues like last week or something 4-0. But other than that, that was the only time I was really impressed with them. Like I said, Rask, I'm sure you can go with Nashville as well because they're on home ice, but I have no faith in them. And with the way that the top line's been producing for Boston, I think that they're going to get a couple points tonight. So no Nashville for me. Rask possibly, for GPP.
Our 5th game of the night, 4 games down, 5 to go. Just have about 18 minutes left here in the show. The Montreal Canadiens travel to Minnesota. Minnesota is -167 moneyline favorites. Carey Price is confirmed a net to face off against Devin Dubnyk. Minnesota here has an implied goal total of 2.80 goals. For this one, Tyler, I want to say that I want to get a cheap defender here, and I'm sure you'll mention him. As far as the skaters go, at least in cash games, I don't find a need, or feel the need rather, to pick on one of the hottest goalies in the league right now. Tell me if I'm wrong there.
No, you're not wrong. When I was looking at this, I was thinking the same thing. And when you see, a Montreal against the Minnesota, or a Montreal versus Boston, or Montreal versus the King, like normally teams that really slow the game, even the Devils have been slowing the game down at an unreal rate. But I think this is good to stay away from as far as cash. Good defensive teams. They've won a lot of games so far this year. They really click when they click in, they're on. But I wouldn't look at anyone in particular in cash. If you're looking for GPP, look at the first line of Montreal. I mean, they've been going at an unreal rate, and last night they just kept clicking with Danault as well. And you guessed it, my cheap D-man would be Nathan Beaulieu from Montreal because he is on that top power play unit. Had 2 more points last night. And if I'm looking at Minnesota for a GPP, maybe I don't even know, like a one-off, I would choose Stahl. Because Montreal does struggle a little bit with the top line, but it's really spread out for them as well. The third one, you can never go wrong with Minnesota at home because they've been on fire as well. But I'm going to stay away from this as far as cash purposes.
Yeah. Any of the goalies interest you in this one? We know that Vegas likes the Wild at home, and Carey Price has really had a funk lately. I'm not on Price at all. That said, I'm not really on the Minnesota Wild skaters, but Dubnyk, can you trust him at all for GPPs or possibly even cash?
No cash for Dubnyk. It's with all the other games tonight, you can't really justify choosing Dubnyk against a Canadiens team that just last night put up a ton of goals. It's hard to do, even though Dubnyk has been phenomenal. I think he tied for the lead in shutouts, I think, in the league. He would be GPP only for me, even with him on home ice.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. Nathan Beaulieu on fire. Certainly in play for cash games for me for Montreal Canadiens. One of the D spots where I want to pay down. The sixth game of the night, 4 to go before we get to our gimmicks. We'll give you our top shelf lock play of the day as well as our Civ City play. And we'll give you maybe a little bit of a fade play. Tyler, what do you think? I know we had a cute name before on our fade play, but I think we're still working on that name.
What, the Blade Fade?
The Blade Fade. I don't know. I think we need to see some viewers. Maybe we should put up a poll on Twitter. The Blade Fade play of the day. That one's wrought with sort of tongue twister trip ups there. But the Detroit Red Wings head to Dallas to face a Stars team that's favorited, but we know that Dallas gives up a lot of goals. Their implied goal total is almost 3 goals, 4, 5.5 over under. A lot of fantasy goodness in this one. Where are the goals going to come from?
Yeah, it definitely has the upside for a barn burner. There's no doubt about that. A lot of talent. You got a veteran on one side and Zetterberg, who's probably on his way out of the league here in the next couple of years and whatnot. He's getting up there in age. And you got the young Tyler Seguin still, and he's got that flying around Stars team. I really like on the Dallas side of this, I love Tyler Seguin. This is one of those things that we're talking about with paying up at center tonight. Tyler Seguin, I think you need to pay up for because he faces Detroit's been a little bit better as far as goals allowed, playing defensively, sometimes surprising you with the Kings and whatnot. Excuse me for that. But, I was looking at Detroit's data, and 26.09% is what they're giving up on the road to first lines, with the most being on the third line away from home. I'm still looking at the top line because over his last 8 games, he's got 32 shots, 9 points. So sign me up for Tyler Seguin tonight in that first line for Dallas.
Yeah, Tyler Seguin is a lock for me, and a guy that I think that I'm fading, especially in cash. Maybe even in GPPs is Yuri Hudler. Hudler is going to see top line time with Seguin and Jason Spezza, but I think that Hudler is one of those guys that is moved up to a top line quickly, and sort of everybody, when they see a team like Dallas, which they for sure click on left wing lock or daily face off to see line combos. They're going to see Hudler and they're going to roster the guy. So I think maybe you got to get a little cute if you want to attack Dallas for GPP purposes, and maybe get that top power play and pair up a Spezza, Seguin, and Ben with a John Klingberg. On the Detroit side of things, Tyler, I mean, my favorite play is Andreas Athanasiou, who has just been scoring goals. All the guy does is score goals. 3 goals in his last game. That second line has awesome GPP, interesting plays for me. Thomas Vanek is on that right wing of that second line with that second line of Franz Nielsen. I don't know. Detroit, what do you think? Mike Green, is he the best play, or can you look at that second line?
I really like, I even like the top line from Detroit with Mantha. I mean, he's been on fire as of late. He's cheap on FanDuel, 5,700. And I know over at DK, he was averaging, 5 fantasy points per game over his last 10. He's pretty reliable. He did get bumped from that first power play unit to the second power play unit, but he shoots the puck at a pretty good clip. And when I'm looking at a Dallas team that really can't play the best defense, especially when they're at home. And sometimes they just show up and they play great defense and they get a shutout, which I don't know how it happens, and it doesn't make sense to me. But as far as tonight, especially when I've been going against Detroit so much this past week or so, and they've really started, they still put up 2 or 3 goals, 4 goals, steal a win here or there. I like Mantha tonight at this cheap price against a Dallas team that only looks to score and they don't look to play defense. For a punt, for a defense, I know it's crazy to say, but Dan DeKaiser on the top power play unit, he could get pretty decent exposure as well if you want exposure to the Detroit side of things and a cheap D-man. He's on the top power play, skates like 23 minutes, gets plenty of block shots, a couple shots on it. So, I mean, if you look at a punt, as far as a cash D-man, Dan DeKaiser is someone that you could also look at as well.
Danny DeKaiser, affordable on FanDuel at just 3.9. Mike Green that I mentioned, 5.1. That's about the highest I'm going to go, maybe other than a Sami Vatanen or a Cam Fowler tonight. But Mike Green, rather, seeing over 22 minutes of ice time per game, averages about 24 minutes of ice time per game, shoots the puck about 2.75 times a game, and also, throwing his body in front of the puck. Before we move on to our next game of the night, featuring the Ducks and the Colorado Avalanche, Tyler, I just wanted to mention that I really enjoy your beard. That whole little thing that you have going sort of below your lip. It kind of like shapes around nicely around your mouth. You look like a lot like a magician.
Oh, I look like a magician.
Yeah,
well,
and the way you
tricks out tonight for us to cash.
The way you raise those eyebrows, with the whole goatee thing or beard thing going, we're gonna call you the magician. I don't know what you're, you need a black suit next time with a nice white shirt, possibly a tuxedo. Well, I think your nickname is officially the magician.
These are playoff beards, okay? Normally when you have a New England, when you're a New England sports fan, your teams are always in the playoffs. So when the Patriots are done, the Bruins are coming up. So you got to keep rocking the beard, man, all through the winter.
I had it all last week. I shaved off the beard before the weekend, but the magician, man, hopefully do pull some magic tricks tonight. But our 7th game of the night, just 3 more to go.
I'll shave it all off. I'll shave it all off. Just leave the stash for you, the power stash. Hashtag power stash.
Yeah, you'll be going around next time though, talking to your wife about who needs mustache rides. So the Ducks in Colorado. Colorado's terrible. I mean, they're the worst puck control team in the NHL. They give up a ton of shots, of course, which is what those puck control numbers mean. And they give up a ton of goals. I mean, I remember when Varlamov was a guy that you'd always play in GPPs because he sees maybe even 40 shots against. But Colorado just can't score. They're allowing over 32 shots against. In this one, Anaheim hasn't been playing the best hockey. They get Ryan Getzlaf back tonight. 2.86 implied total goals. Where's the production coming from on the Anaheim side?
Yeah, another one of those teams where it's Colorado is so bad that they just let every line score. Every line has been scoring on them, and there's really been no trend, and it kind of sucks as far as fantasy purposes. But like you said, Getzlaf being back tonight, if that is indeed true. I know that they saw him at morning skate and whatnot. But that top line of Raquel, Getzlaf, and Perry is where you probably need to look at as far as production coming from. Silverberg and Kessler and Cogliano, and you could also, Nick Ritchie's line as well. But I'm really going to look at that top line. And if I'm going to do a one-off, I mean, you could even pay it for Ryan Kessler with the ice time that he skates at like 24 a game. But the top line was where I'd look for from Anaheim tonight. They just have too much firepower. They're all reunited on that power play unit, and Cam Fowler and Sami Vatanen. There's no way that I could possibly not get at least a little bit of exposure in GPPs or cash for Anaheim.
Yeah, I think my favorite play here, not necessarily for cash game purposes, but for certainly GPPs, the way that I think that Anaheim, even on a 9-game slate, is going to be fairly highly owned. So the way that I'm going to differentiate myself is looking at Corey Perry. You look at his career statistics, and he's averaging about 12.5 to 13.5%. As far as the shooting percentage statistic goes, he's back with Getzlaf and Rockel. on that top line. He's also seeing that top power play unit time. So if you're going to play that power play stack, Tyler, everyone's on Kessler. He's the Ducks. He's the Ducks along with Fowler, representative at the All-Star game. They're going to play Getzlaf. Getzlaf just back. Make sure you grab Corey Perry and you give yourself either a 3-person stack or even a 4-man stack with that top line and grab either Fowler or Vatanen. I don't think that you're on Colorado at all. Yes or no? Can you roster Colorado tonight at all?
No. Negative.
Yeah.
There's no chance that I'd roster them. Been playing terrible at home. They're just terrible. If I lose tonight on, Colorado beating me, I'll let that happen. I don't want to even waste my money on any Colorado guys tonight.
There you go. Johnny Gibson, top 5 goaltender of the night, top 3 goalie of the night, cash game. Cool.
Yeah, I'd definitely say I was debating between, a couple of guys, and Gibson was one of the top guys I was debating tonight as far as a top 2 or 3 play.
There you go. 8th game of the night. Just 2 more games, and we'll get to our NHL gimmicks. Our top shelf lock play of the day, our blade fade of the day, and our Sim City play, that goalie that we think we're going to torch tonight, preview or hint. Varlamov. So, 8th game, New Jersey Devils and Edmonton face an Oilers team that's the heaviest Vegas favorite on the night. 2.92 implied total goals. For this one, I'm all about Edmonton. Tyler, correct me if I'm wrong, or make me feel better and affirm my position.
Yeah, absolutely. Edmonton is where it's at tonight. I think you won't see a spoiling of Taylor Hall returning to Edmonton, as the numbers don't point to him. But he might get a point or two. But I see Edmonton as a big favorite tonight. And that first line is really where I'm looking at Maroon, McDavid, and Draisaitl. It's funny because the price is Patrick Maroon's all the way up to 6,000 on FanDuel, which is unreal. And Draisaitl is 6,500. And while I think that Draisaitl is 100% more offensively gifted, I like Maroon tonight with the $500 savings, because he's he got 19 shots and 5 points over his last 4 games, including a hat trick against my own Boston Bruins and your own Boston Bruins. And it's something that I want exposure to this game. I don't want to pay up for McDavid because center is very valuable tonight. And I'm going to take the cheaper winger of the two, with him being on David's power play unit, but on that number 2 power play unit. So I at least get a little bit of exposure, as the Devils give up 36% of all their goals on the road to opposing top lines.
There you go. Edmonton Oilers, all about them. And for me, I'm all in on the New Jersey Devils. I think that even with Taylor, no, I'm just kidding. Just wanted to see if
you got to keep going. You got to keep going, Taylor Hall.
Just wanted to see if you're paying attention. No, I'm not on the Devils. I do think, that said, that Taylor Hall is a fun one-off GPP play, coming back to an Edmonton Oilers team that just simply, kicked him aside with all the other young talent. Ice in my freezer. Keep your head right. Cam Talbot, for me, top 3 goaltender in cash games. I think he's going to be highly owned in GPP, so maybe you want to take a look elsewhere. But goaltenders in this one, where's Cam Talbot rank for you?
Cam Talbot is also a top 2 to 3 goaltender for me tonight. Big favorites. Like I said, the only thing I could see possibly happening is, Hall completely ruining the night, but I don't see that happening because Edmonton's actually been playing pretty well. And especially at home ice, I like them to get the mismatches where they need them, get in enough goals, and get out with the W for Talbot.
There you go. Our last game of the night before we move on to our NHL gimmicks. I've got no interest in this one. I don't care about it. I think there's a fine value play on the St. Louis Blues, who are in Los Angeles. And the Staples Center tonight, Neil Yakupov is super cheap, below 4K on FanDuel. I don't want him tonight. I don't want Vladimir Tarasenko. On the LA side of things, Tyler, where's your head at for this one? I just don't. I think LA stinks. I think they're overrated. I don't know how they have 2 guys in the All-Star game. I know they have to have 1, but where are you at in this one?
For LA, I mean, the data says the number 1 line, but I look at the number 1 line and I'm like, okay, you got Count Chocula and Anze Kopitar, who's done nothing. And for, years prior where I would want to roster him in a situation like this against a struggling Blues team with scoring goals. I just can't do it because LA is a one-line show with Jeff Carter and Tanner Pearson. And, the data doesn't point to it tonight. There's other better matchups. But if you are going to, run a GPP with some Kings in it, I would point to that second line. Even though the numbers don't point to it, Carter and Pearson, you can't go wrong, and they've always been known to go off when you don't roster them. So,
yeah, it's one of those things where whenever you go all in on a team, as we did on Thursday night last week, and they disappoint, they always score the next game. And that was certainly the case with Tanner Pearson, who scored the next day, couldn't score against Detroit, yet scored 2 nights later against Minnesota, then had an assist last game out against Dallas. Sort of an underperformance, though. You're playing Dallas. You expect a little bit more of production from your wingers. For me, I think you can go to Peter Budaj. I'm not. He was likely in that. I don't think he's been confirmed, but I'm not going to love it. I do know that St. Louis is probably going to shoot the puck 28 to 29 times a game tonight. I don't love it, and I'm not on Jake Allen because, as I always say, he gives up a soft goal early on, and probably won't see that many shots. Now,
I will say one thing though. You look at scoring from the St. Louis side. You can look at Perron and Schwartz from the third line because they give about 35% of the goals the Kings do at home, and it always seems like it's depth lines. But like you said, I want nothing to do with Jake Allen at all.
There you go. Now, moving on to our NHL gimmicks. We've got 3 of them here on Tape to Tape featuring me, TheTonyM, with Tyler Lessard. TLess, also known as, what, Tyler? The Magician. Yes.
I make things disappear.
To my right over there. There he is. Looking good, dude. The Magician. Our top shelf lock play of the day, our Blade Fade of the day, and our Civ City play. We give you that goalie that we think is just going to be a Civ, Sieve. Tyler, you first. What is your top shelf lock play of the day? That guy that we have to roster in all formats tonight, regardless of price.
Well, I definitely think
don't steal mine.
That's what I was about to say. I'm hoping I'm not stealing yours tonight. But Sam Reinhart, did I steal yours?
Why don't you just keep talking?
Sam Reinhart is what I had. All right, Sam Reinhart, 34 points his last game. He's been absolutely on fire with a Buffalo team, like I said, that I expect them to score against Tampa Bay. I know Bishop's back tonight, but Reinhart's been, everyone's been looking for Eichel. It's been Reinhart still running the show. So I definitely have Sam Reinhart as my top shelf lock of the night tonight.
And my top shelf lock of the night is Connor McDavid, 8.7 on FanDuel. He's got 5 assists in his last 4 games, 15 shots on goal during that span. New Jersey Devils are coming to town. They're giving up the 3rd most shots against per game. I'm all in on the Edmonton Oilers youngster. Now, move on to our Blade Fade play of the day. Wow, Blade Fade play of the day, where we give you our guy, our skater, or goaltender that we're simply going to have no part of tonight. Who was that for you, Tyler?
I like to choose someone that's normally been doing pretty decent as of late, and then fade away from him. But I think it was the last game that we talked about with Vladimir Tarasenko. His ice time's been going down, and in a game where I see the Kings pulling it out and grinding it out, and the Blues been struggling as of late, and his ice time dipping, I think you can fade with confidence Vladimir Tarasenko tonight as my Blade Fade of the night.
There you go, my Blade Fade of the night.
I'm making your words disappear. Apparently, I'm the magician.
God damn it! Well, you stole my joke right there. You stole my one-liner. I can't go there now. My Blade Fade of the day is Sidney Crosby. Crosby, most expensive skater on both FanDuel and DraftKings tonight. He's over 9K on FanDuel. And even though I'm all about paying up for the center position today, I don't need to go Crosby because I do think that if Pittsburgh does score against Ottawa, which is likely, I'd look more to that Malkin line. Now, Civ City, Chris Joyman, Chris Cash's favorite gimmick of ours. Tyler, who is your Civ City goaltender of the night?
Peter Mrazek, and anyone else that Detroit decides to put in net tonight, because I expect him to probably get pulled, and Dallas to put up 40 shots on net tonight. they're bold predictions, but I'm looking at a Detroit team that has been, I feel like, getting lucky as of late as far as not giving up a lot of goals. And Mrazek, 15 points, 1 point, 9 point, -1, -2, 12.8. He has not been good, and I expect Dallas to exploit that fully with the return of Jamie Benn tonight. Peter Mrazek is my Civ of the night.
Interesting call on Civ of the night. Agree there, especially if you're on Tyler Seguin. And my Civ City play of the day. Well, is it play of the day or my Civ City play is Semyon Varlamov, 8.1 on FanDuel. Thank God his price finally came below 9K because Semyon Varlamov is terrible. Look at his game log, minus 926.
Hey, he's handsome though. He's very handsome.
I think he has comparable hair to me, which I know a lot of you guys tune in to see. Somehow that he has minus 9.6 on his recent game look, minus 16, 6.4, 8.32. Then there's that anomaly where he had 48.8 points, where a 52 save one goal game against Toronto. I don't understand that one from earlier in December, but my Civ City goaltender of the night is Semyon Varlamov. I just think that Anaheim scores probably 4 goals tonight, maybe have 5, although of course Anaheim does have upside of 6 with that deadly offense if Corey Perry can decide to turn around his shooting percentage from the 5.9% that it is. But that's it. Episode number 3 of Tape to Tape. Tyler, thank you very much. Good luck tonight. And the Magician signing off for Tape to Tape. I'm TLess. Namaste.
Namaste, my friend.